Mm-hmm. Hello and welcome everybody to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. And today we are going to be talking about states' rights and Bitcoin mining. But on top of that, we are also going to be talking about, of course, in conjunction with that, the 30% crypto mining tax that has now kind of been pushed even further. We talked about it a couple months ago, but it looks like it's becoming closer and closer to reality from the Biden administration. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean, of course, that it's going to be a for sure thing, just that it's a little further on down the line. We're also going to be talking about Montana and all the states' rights surrounding it and all of the different bills that are being passed and the proposal of other bills in other states as well. We're going to be talking about the U.S. Justice Department investigating Binance for Russia-related sanctions, and this is going to be extremely important as we continue to monitor basically what I'm going to start referring to as the hash wars. Which country has the most hash rate? We saw Russia come into second place here recently. We talked about that last week. Still short of the US by, 200 to 300% of the hash rate, but getting closer and closer as the days go on. We also have a new listing for kaspa, very exciting there, and a new firmware for the E300 miners, which we'll be covering, as well as a new E300, apparently, which is really interesting. And some new support on the Hive-On side for different miners if you are wanting to add some of your ASICs into your Hive-On farm, so that you can manage, a majority of your farm just that much easier. Crypto mining for GPUs is not looking that good, unfortunately. On the flip side, right, we are seeing a pretty stark decrease in profitability, with really Dynex kind of maintaining that top spot for a majority of GPUs across the board. So we'll be taking a look at crypto mining profitability. Not a lot of miner releases either this week. So on the actual mining software side for development, it's very short. I'm also going to put out a quick warning here. I'm on call for work this week. It's been a very difficult on call, lots of late nights. So I've been exhausted and I may have to take a little bit of time and hop off to answer some phone calls because we are kind of currently in the middle of an issue. So with all of that being said, let's hop into everything right after a word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is myself. I recently launched a crypto mining e-course at sonofatech.com, and it includes 9 steps to cover when you decide to start your crypto mining journey. This is specifically pertaining to 2023 crypto mining profits and taking advantage of the down market to achieve skyrocketing growth as we move into the next halving of Bitcoin. You'll learn buying mining equipment in a bear market, using outside investment to speculative mine, begin mining once profit is established, sell mine crypto to pay for electricity, hold and prep for the bull run, sell at the top of the bull market, sell mining equipment at the top of the bull market, and begin investing in land and power so that you can bring in outside investors to utilize excess resources. Thanks everybody for your support, and I hope you enjoy the course. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. And welcome back. So let's go ahead and hop into the first topic for today. U.S. Justice Department investigating Binance for Russia-related sanctions violations via Bloomberg. CoinDesk has reached out to Binance and the Justice Department for comment. The U.S. Department of Justice's National Security Division is conducting an inquiry into whether Binance allowed Russian customers to access the exchange in violation of U.S. sanctions related to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, according to a Bloomberg report that cites 5 people familiar with the matter. The Justice Department inquiry is another high-profile action against Binance after a 2021 joint investigation with the Internal Revenue Services against the global exchange. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC for short, has also been investigating Binance for its relationship with two firms owned by its founder Changpeng Zhao since at least early 2022. Spokespeople for Binance and the Justice Department did not immediately return CoinDesk's request for comment. The Justice Department declined a Bloomberg request for a comment. A Binance statement to Bloomberg said the company complies fully with all U.S. and international financial sanctions. In March, the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC for short, sued Binance alleging the company knowingly offered unregistered crypto derivative products in the U.S. against federal law. The exchange has repeatedly pushed back against the allegations by saying it has built the world's largest compliance team in the space, a 700-member that addresses 1,300 law enforcement requests on a weekly basis. Tigran Gambarian, Binance's head of financial crime compliance, said at CoinDesk's consensus conference last week. In recent days, Binance has claimed to have figured out how to keep North Koreans off its crypto exchange by kicking their something like kicking their ass enough. There we go. And there goes demonetization. We're only within the first, we're 15 minutes in. We'll be golden. Thanks for the buffer start screen. And they're actually being able to recognize that Binance was not the place for them. Additionally, this month, Israel reportedly revealed it has seized roughly 190 Binance accounts with alleged ties to terrorist groups, including 2 accounts to ISIS. Since neither Israel nor Binance explicitly said Binance had cooperated, it isn't clear how Israel seized accounts on Binance without Binance's cooperation, given Binance is obliged to adhere to Israeli laws. Now, of course, it's not that difficult to seize something if you can gain access to the credentials for it, so I would assume that that is how seizure took place. I suppose there are other ways that maybe they could have gotten it, but if they did, then of course there would be security flaws within Binance itself. But the reason why this is extremely important is because the entire selling point to cryptocurrency, at least as of late, for countries like Russia has been to bypass sanctions. This is why in Russia we've seen, of course, the tax holidays that have been going on for cryptocurrency and digital products. And this is to essentially allow and encourage the oligarchs and such to go ahead and participate within cryptocurrency and not hurt them too bad financially in turn for it. This was something that was done a few months back, and we did cover that fully. It's important to cover this, though, because we need to understand exactly where things are headed, and a lot of it will come down to sanctions compliance, I think, when we talk about regulation from the United States. And so I hope to see a better or more favorable regulation surrounding cryptocurrency, but because of matters like this, I do not foresee that actually being the case. I think that you will see a more stringent lockdown or hammer coming down within cryptocurrency across the board. Coinbase is kind of the last shining star. I guess we have crypto.com for US, exchanges, with Binance having Binance.us, but in a lot of states, people don't have access to Binance. For example, even in Texas, where there are more favorable cryptocurrency policies, Binance is not available within Texas itself. And this is something I think we're going to see more and more of. I think we're going to see individual products within cryptocurrency being available on a state-by-state basis. And it will all depend on essentially individual states' rights and their laws surrounding cryptocurrency. And this is going to become extremely relevant within mining. And so I really wanted to point that out as we move into the rest of this topic, because the White House has proposed a 30% tax on electricity used for Bitcoin and crypto mining. We've been aware of this for a while because the proposal was loose previously, but it seems to be formalized at this point. The White House has officially introduced a proposed 30% tax on electricity used for Bitcoin mining. Specifically, the Biden administration has pushed for the tax in its newest budget for the fiscal year 2024. In a blog post on the White House website, the administration laid out the tax plan. The proposal, titled the Digital Asset Mining Energy Excise Tax, DAME for short, is set to be phased in over the course of the next 3 years, subsequently taking aim at crypto mining's energy consumption and environmental impact. The White House has proposed a 30% tax on electricity used for Bitcoin mining. A post from the administration referred to the proposal as, quote, making crypto mining pay for costs they impose on others, end quote. I'm going to go through the actual process here once again so people understand how this works when we are talking about curtailment. Curtailment is going to be the key word here when you have this discussion with people outside of the know surrounding cryptocurrency. Here's how a power co-op or power company that delivers power to your individual house functions or business, right? In most cases. And that is that you have power generators and power deliveries. And then you also have usually a governing body over that that helps regulate all of that. It's basically a stock market with different options for purchasing power. So a lot of power companies will go into that market, purchase a set amount of power, and then have that power set aside for whatever length that term may be. In some cases, and they use a lot of predictors, but in some cases, the predictions are incorrect. And what ends up happening is they run out of power on a high demand day. When this happens, the individual power companies that are delivering the power to individuals and businesses will have to go on to basically what is a spot market and purchase power for that day. Because demand is high for that day, the cost for that power is heightened, right? It goes up. And for example, in Texas, what we saw was a price in the winter storm from 5 cents a kilowatt hour to $5 a kilowatt hour. That cost does not get absorbed by the power company itself. That cost gets absorbed, of course, by the consumer. So in relation to Bitcoin mining, the practice is known as curtailment. And what curtailment is the ability for that load to be turned off at any given time to provide load back to the grid so that the power company does not have to go back onto the spot market and purchase that power at a high cost, thereby saving the individuals and the businesses that are on that power company's grid money. And that is why this is an important topic to understand, because they are not imposing costs on others. They are reducing costs on others that are within their same regional area. So anytime you hear this from others, stop them and educate them on how the actual industry works so that they don't say stupid stuff like our White House is saying. Moreover, the tax plan is set to be a part of the administrator's 2024 budget. The Biden administration stated that the DAME tax is addressing both long-standing national challenges as well as emerging risks regarding digital assets. Additionally, noting the need to combat, quote, the economic environmental costs of current practices for mining crypto assets. Let's talk about environmental costs. I feel like a broken record sometimes, but let's go ahead and talk about that. If we were talking about any given industry within the United States, the Bitcoin mining industry is highly incentivized to participate within renewables. A lot of industries are incentivized to participate within renewables, but because the major cost for cryptocurrency mining is going to be the power itself, any incentives that are placed on the type of energy utilized will be more beneficial to an industry that's pure cost is going to be power related, right? And this is why Bitcoin mining in general has the highest adoption of renewables at over 60%, at least at the last time I've checked. I think it's even higher than that now. And another thing, as far as talking about the environment, there are a lot of other practices within Bitcoin mining and cryptocurrency mining that help reduce damaging practices to the environment. For example, flare gas. When flare gas, basically, let's go ahead and talk about this one. How that functions is that natural gas has to be delivered through pipes. And on the initial, where the actual entrance to the natural gas goes into the pipe, the pressure in that pipe is high. And the pipes can't carry that amount of pressure. So the practice is known as flaring. What this does is basically a valve opens up and the gas goes up to the top and they burn that gas into the atmosphere. As opposed to doing that, what Bitcoin miners have done is cut a smaller rate so that the gas company can monetize something that was previously not monetizable. And they place what is usually a Bitcoin mining container, which is going to be a container filled with a bunch of Bitcoin mining rigs. And then next to that, they put a natural gas generator. Why is this important to understand? It's important to understand because the process of burning natural gas through a natural gas generator, as opposed to burning it straight off into the atmosphere, is cleaner and better for the environment. So on the environmental front, be educated so you can have these discussions, because once again, we are seeing complete incompetence and inability to actually determine any facts about what is happening within cryptocurrency mining from our White House at this time. The proposal is clear on the administration's perception of cryptocurrency mining, subsequently noting its effect on the environment and energy. Moreover, the administration stated that the Dame tax encourages firms to start taking better account of the harms they impose on society. The press release took aim at the benefits of the industry, stating, quote, alongside these known costs and risks, crypto mining does not generate the local and national economic benefits typically associated with businesses using similar amounts of energy, noting an underlying disbelief in the purpose of the practice. Now, of course, we could go here and drive straight directly into Mr. Lowry's soft war and begin to explain that cryptocurrency mining in general will pose a specific strategic advantage within the international economies moving forward. And to stifle innovation within that industry will definitely put nations that do that behind. That is, of course, my perspective. And once again, that comes from soft war. Once again, that is a correlation to Constantinople not adapting to cannons and trying to block cannon fire with shields and swords and being decimated within a year of the warning of the invention of cannons. Conversely, various crypto mining protection bills have been passed in several U.S. states, subsequently introducing a situation of conflicting perspectives. Only time will tell how the proposal is received. However, the tax is currently set to be phased in at the start of the next fiscal year. So, if this gets phased in, obviously there's going to be a huge shift within cryptocurrency mining. It will be nearly impossible for large cryptocurrency Bitcoin mining farms to continue to operate within the United States. They will begin to move out to other locations, and I believe that is specifically a strategically detrimental move from the US government, and we'll have to see how that plays out. Now, in the actual documentation, when I was looking at this bill, they targeted specifically, and I'll try to pull this up because I was actually working on a video for this separately, but they targeted at-home crypto miners specifically in their actual proposal. So if you thought that as an individual mining from your home, you were going to be exempt from this, that is not the case. If you have been found mining, you will have a 30% tax on the electricity used for that mining as an at-home miner, which means all at-home mining will be basically completely unprofitable and completely impossible for anybody to operate at this given time. And that means we'll have more centralized, larger entities moving to other countries to continue to mine, and mining will be completely dead in the United States. The margins are just not there, right? If you wanted to say, oh, well, Bitcoin miners back in the bull run were making a killing, fine. Maybe you can come up with a 30% tax out of that. But in the current position where it sits with the increased cost of energy as it is, it's just not going to be viable. There are some protections being put into place, though, and I wonder how many protections can block this at the state level. There are proposals to block this at the state level. I've seen some in Texas, I've seen some in Montana, but nothing really specifically. There are some crypto mining rights being protected in Montana as the Senate passes a bill to protect Bitcoin and crypto mining rights. The Montana State Senate has officially passed a bill to protect Bitcoin and crypto mining rights. The bill was led by Dennis Porter and the Satoshi Action Fund and was passed by a landslide vote of 37 to 13. The, quote, right to mine, end quote, Bitcoin bill was designed to protect crypto mining companies from discriminatory digital asset mining utility rates, it reads, which would say that the federal law is a discriminatory tax on the power being utilized by miners, but at the state level, can they block that federal, right? This gets back into all the weirdness that we've seen in the marijuana sector, for example, and states' rights allowing, the legalization of marijuana when it wasn't legalized or even decriminalized by the federal government. And you get into this position where we could see just a rinse and repeat of the same old story over and over again, where a state has these protections, but the IRS comes in and makes a few examples of some people, large miners or whatever, that reside within Montana, and in an attempt to scare everybody to comply. And I think there will be a certain set of people that will comply, and there will be a certain set of people that do not comply. And I think that there will be examples made of those that do not comply at the federal level. But how much can this really protect anybody? Crypto mining has long been a source of conflict between state governments and the mining infrastructures within its borders. The Montana State Senate has officially passed a bill to protect Bitcoin and crypto mining rights. The Right to Mine crypto bill was passed today and is set to protect crypto mining companies from unfair charges. Specifically, the legislation will revise crypto laws to prohibit discriminatory digital asset mining utility rates within the state. Yeah, but if you tax it from the federal government, then that seems to bypass this, right? What this is saying in particular is that a power company cannot go in and say, because you are mining, you have to pay extra, right? This is what we saw in Washington State. And this is why mining companies within Washington State rezoned as data centers, right? And so there are still workarounds even in those states, but I don't think this protects from the federal government putting a tax on that power itself. The passing of the bill was led by Dennis Porter and the Satoshi Action Fund, blah, blah, blah. We've read that already. The Satoshi Action Fund is pleased with the results in Montana. It is critical to provide regulatory certainty for the mining industry, Porter told Watcher Guru. We have been working diligently to ensure that Bitcoin miners have the right to mine across the USA. There is still more work to be done in Montana, but as a new organization, we feel confident about HT progress we have made. I think it's supposed to say the progress, and I think they moved the T after the H and forgot the E, but that's okay. I am pleased the Montana Senate passed SB 178 with overwhelming support. Montana State Senator Daniel Zolnikov stated, "This is a common sense legislation that protects digital asset mining businesses and from discrimination not faced from other industries." And that's a question I have for you guys. When does this become an invasion of privacy, and when does it violate rights in your opinion? And I've heard lots of opinions surrounding this, but what you are seeing is essentially a discriminatory act based on what you are utilizing power for. Should the federal government or the state government at that point be allowed to discriminate basically based on what you utilize power for? Why is plugging in an electric vehicle okay, but not plugging in a Bitcoin miner? Why is plugging in a deep freezer okay, but not plugging in a Bitcoin miner? These are the questions I have. And arguably, I would say in a lot of cases, there's a ton of benefits to society to having at-home miners as well. So this target to at-home miners with the White House's proposal is quite telling. And it's, not telling, but scary, I suppose. Conclusively, Zolnikov added these protections, along with clarifying tax law in relation to digital assets when used as payment, will plant a flag in Montana that we are open to embracing the digital asset mining industry. Porter and the Satoshi Action Fund are clear in the determination to get similar legislation passed in multiple states, hopefully creating a more consistent legislative approach to mining practices throughout the country. Montana's Senate bill officially prohibits, quote, local government powers related to digital asset mining, as well as taxation on the use of cryptocurrency as a payment method. It states, moreover, it notes that digital asset mining provides positive economic value for individuals and companies throughout the United States. The bill has been in consideration for the past few weeks and is a large step forward for crypto mining. Subsequently, its passing should work to aid crypto mining companies in embracing Montana as a viable setting for their operation. And, excuse me, hold on. I think you'll see this across a variety of states, probably the flyover states, to help increase revenue, right? And I think you'll start to see it in states that start to suffer from a reduction in productivity for crops and so on. One of the things I saw here recently is that we're starting to witness a collapse of the marijuana industry, where $4,000 a pound coming from California is now worth $300 to $600 a pound, and there's a collapse of that industry going on. And what do you replace industry with? Well, you typically replace industry with other industry, right? If you have a bad crop, I mean, as a farmer as well, it goes to show that if you're going to get paid more for soybeans than for wheat, right, you're going to go ahead and grow the soybeans. And if you're going to begin to not be able to produce as much revenue for your marijuana crops, what do you move to after that? It's kind of interesting. I haven't gotten to fully read it, but it's definitely going to be an important thing because these two industries are starting to cross a lot, especially because some of the biggest benefits to a lot of the industry, as far as like marijuana goes, has lately been talks of utilizing Bitcoin mining to keep the temperatures basically within specification when growing. So it's going to be interesting to watch these two industries and see how it shakes out, especially as it relates to regulation within the U.S. and state to state. That being said, don't mess with Texas. Innovation advocates criticize bill removing crypto mining incentives. We talked about this a little bit, but even though Texas has been pretty favorable in the past to cryptocurrency mining, there has been a new proposal that we covered last week that is going to basically remove the incentives for miners operating in Texas. This in particular is related directly to the curtailment process that I talked about earlier. So if you're in Texas and you're talking to an individual and they say, well, it's not right to go ahead and have these miners get paid in return for curtailing their power, I think you should explain to them that that is keeping their power bill lower. And in fact, if anything, I think that that should be expanded to at-home miners and they should reap the rewards of curtailing. Actually, anybody, in my humble opinion. If you curtail your power by not charging your Tesla car, you should get a kickback. These are things that I think should be available to everyone and individual and private citizens as well as industry alike. That being said, they're trying to take that away in the U.S. In an April 10th announcement, the Texas Blockchain Council, Chamber of Digital Commerce, and Satoshi Action Fund called on Texas residents to reach out to lawmakers in opposition of the state's Senate Bill 1751. The legislation, if passed, would amend sections of Texas Utilities and Tax Code to add restrictions for crypto mining facilities. And we talked about these previously, and I did just give you an idea of what it's actually doing there. It wants to remove the ability for Texas power companies and power co-ops, cooperations, to, or co-ops, but cooperatives, there we go, excuse me, to participate within curtailment, which means at the end of the day, the individuals are going to have their prices go up for energy because there will not be this curtailment ability. To give you an idea, that's the industry that I work in now, and I can tell you that on the, on a lot of these power companies' roadmaps is adding more curtailment. So I think it's a big deal in Texas, and I think we should pay attention to this. So if you're in the state, please call your lawmakers and all that. I know a lot of y'all that I talked to at the meetup, which was great. Thanks everybody that showed up last week. We did talk about this. A lot of y'all have already. I think we're coming back online. I think we're good to go. Sorry for the technical difficulties. It may happen again because this is the second time today. I'm not really exactly sure what's been happening here to this particular PC, but I'll definitely be having to work on it. It's ever since I installed that new game, whatever it's called, Redfall or whatever, which is a fun game, by the way. But I'm wondering if it installed some sort of crypto jacker on it. So let's go ahead and move on. We talked about that, getting involved within your local governments to go ahead and make sure that they are proposing crypto friendly, specifically crypto mining friendly policy. And it's been a rough one, It's been a rough one. A rough week. I think a lot of people, let me get this up and running. I think a lot of people are also losing interest within crypto unless it's like Pepe or something like that. Definitely saw a huge decline in the interest of cryptocurrency on this channel once again. So I think we're back kind of crawling along since the dip back below the 30K range. A quick note though, kaspa has gotten listed on KuCoin. So for the kaspa fans, congratulations. KuCoin is extremely proud to announce yet another great project coming to our trading platform. kaspa is now available on KuCoin. The supported trading pair is kaspa and USDT. It went live today, May 6th at 10 a.m. UTC. There wasn't a huge gain. I believe it was pretty minuscule. We can go ahead and take a look. Overall, yeah, even for the day, it's actually down, right? So there was it got priced in yesterday and then went down for the day. So nothing too exciting as far as price is concerned, but another outlet. And KuCoin is pretty amazing, in my humble opinion, for liquidating. I've definitely had some really good luck with them. That being said, I think you're still going to have better fees on some other options. Maybe TradeOver is still better, but the volume's going to be much better, and I think you're going to be able to swap out a little bit easier, larger amounts over on KuCoin. So there you go. Now let's talk about new miner update. Unleash the full potential of the E300 miner. Upgrade to achieve an impressive 16 gigahash a second kaspa hash rate now on the E300s. You can check out the coupon codes down below for these if you're interested. But a new firmware version has been released that increases the kaspa hash rate to an impressive 16 gigahash a second on the E300. However, to achieve this hash rate, you need to take some important steps. It says, firstly, you will need to purchase the heat sinks. Due to the higher clock speeds of over 650 megahertz, the MOSFET and regulator on the FPGA boards will produce more heat, which could be a concern for E300 miners. This would be overclock and go beyond the Z-Link's specification, and you're taking risks at your own cost and may cause damage to the box, which is not warranted. To mitigate this issue, you will need to purchase small heat sinks. These heat sinks can help dissipate the heat and ensure that the E300 miner remains at an optimal temperature during operation. The heatsink recommended by Osprey Electronics can be purchased from the Amazon link provided below. This is the specific heatsink that the Osprey Electronics suggests to E300 miners to help regulate the temperature of the MOSFET and regulator on the FPGA boards when running at higher clock speeds, and they link the Amazon link down here. You get some thermal glue, you get these fun little heat sinks, and then you plop them on here. It looks like they have them marked. They have a little guide here. Plop, 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 plop. Yep. So you'll put all the heat sinks on there. And then once you've done that for the MOSFETs, you'll download the new firmware and go from, I think what we were seeing was really around 13 gigahash a second. So I don't know if this hits 16 or if it's closer to 15 gigahash a second, but you will have to also overclock. So I think the mileage will probably vary. Just keep an eye on that. It also may not be worth it, so be extremely careful with this one. Unfortunately, I only got the E300 for like a week, so I don't have one to test this. Otherwise, I would love to do this. Maybe I can email them and they'll let me do a video on it. But, you know, as it is with all miners like this, unfortunately, it's very difficult to have test units and keep them and all of that sort of stuff. We also have new supported hardware for ASIC Hub on Hivon that you guys should check out. Scrolling down here, what you'll see is that they have added support for Gold Shell. Right now, official support for KD Max, KD Lite, and Mini Doge Pro. I believe the Hobbyist Miners already tested and made out a video for this on his channel, so go check his channel out if you're curious on how to get this functioning. There is a caveat here. I mean, a lot of the minis will work and so on, but you got to keep in mind, like, this is $2 a month to add any of these. And if you are paying $2 a month on a mini, you're really, it's not, look, it's not profitable, right? Like, a lot of these gold shell miners are just not profitable enough to really, for that to make sense. I wouldn't recommend utilizing it. I know $2 sounds cheap, so that's not a dig on Hive. Like, bull run, cool. You want easy management, great. But when you're trying to survive a bear market and you have a bunch of mini miners, adding a mini miner in for $2 a month, probably not a great idea. The margins are too low. That being said, there is also another new miner from Osprey. It's the E300 VU33P. It's an 8.8 gigahash a second kaspa miner, utilizing, of course, the VU33P. There are 3 hash ports in the unit. You can check out my review of the E300. It makes sense. You could slide in different FPGA boards, so that's what's basically happening here. And that was able to reduce the price to $32.99. You can get another $100 off with SOT100, and I do get a kickback for those, so you can check that out if you want and utilize that so I can get a kickback if you decide to purchase it. But please watch my review so you understand the caveats for this one in particular, because you know, the 10% fee on that for like Team Red Miner, it's just bad. There's no other way to put it. It's just bad. All right, so let's go ahead. I want to say Major Pal, thanks for the $10 super chat. Let's look at mining profitability. It's looking grim, you know. I think last week we had the 4090 doing a couple dollars a day in profit. Today, it's doing 35 cents a day in profit. We've seen basically a huge hit in mining profitability as markets have been just decimated on the smaller crypto mining scene, right? We saw a big pump in coins ranging from Dynex to Nexa to Radiant to Kaspa. Kaspa is kind of falling off just due to the fact that we are seeing these ASICs and FPGAs kind of take over the network. but things are being held up okay by these other coins, and then just kind of poof, a lot of the profits gone. It's hard to justify something like an RTX 4090 at $1,700 when it's only making 35 cents a day. But of course, as you know, if you watch my crypto mining e-course at sonofatech.com, this is the time you stack up on hardware. The question is going to be, do you stack up on, do you stack up on GPUs or you stack up on ASICs? And this is a discussion I actually had today with Tactical Investing. That video will be out next week. But I think it's important to understand that if you are going to get into cryptocurrency mining, you get in now because you won't be able to later on. But if you look at something like ASICs in general, it's a very hard game to play. Because if you look, all right, they say that third time's the charm, and we'll just have to wait and see if it is. I think something's been going on weird with the webcam as well. But I thought that was just it having a really bad color correction, auto color correction. So it could, oh, you know what it might be? Hold on, let me turn this off real quick. We're going to do no NVIDIA and we'll run chroma key. It's not as high quality, but it may at least prevent that. So I just realized what that could have been. So we were trying a new, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Once I'm back and we can actually be utilizing our main system 24/7, things are going to be a lot easier. I just don't know when that's going to be. So there you go. We were talking about we're getting ready for Q&A anyways, but we were talking about, basically the strategy of purchasing mining equipment now in preparation for the bull run. It's going to be odd because the U.S. could turn into essentially what China turned into from the individual miner's perspective. And then you have mining equipment that you are then taking and selling to people that are mining with it in other countries. I mean, that is a potential for something that takes place here. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. It's hard to be positive about the direction that the United States is taking as it pertains to mining cryptocurrency. And when you look at how, this bear market's shaking out, I can see why people would want to hold off. Me personally, I carry enough conviction within crypto that I'll continue to rinse and repeat the strategy that I rinse and repeat every cycle. And you guys can follow along with it and see if it works out. But there are some strategies that I think I will try to implement to prevent or at least allow me to bob and weave through a little bit of this, right? If we are next fiscal year of 2024 seeing a 30% charge on our power utilized for mining, it's going to make it extremely difficult to mine. That's just the way it is, right? So let's go ahead and look at some of the markets though, or some of the hash rates. I had somebody say that the Bitcoin hash rate was going down, but I haven't seen it going down. I've only seen it going up, so I don't know where they got that information. Right now it's at 382 exahash a second. If we look at something like Ethereum Classic, it's been sitting pretty stagnant around that 123 terahash a second. Not sure what this spike was about. Ethereum Proof of Work, I think, still sitting at 16. A lot of these no changes. The big changes I think that are going to be interesting is like kaspa. which I think has stayed above 1 petahash here, though, pretty consistently for a while. You may want to look at something like Radiant, right, where we just saw this huge dip in hash rate. I think this was one I was looking at earlier. Definitely eyeing Radiant. It's down in price, but it's also down in hash rate, right? Going down from 160 terahash a second to 134 terahash a second. Taking a look at Ergo, it still has its wild hash rate manipulation strategies going on by its farmers, where they spike up, take advantage of the difficulty adjustment curve, and then they spin down and spin up and spin down and spin up and spin down. It's just a little ridiculous. Conflux, the hash rate is up, so I guess some of y'all caught on to me, unfortunately, so I will be moving off of Conflux. If you're curious about what I'll be moving to, we'll talk about that over on Locals. But thanks, everybody, for trying to follow me over to Conflux, you dirty dogs. The hash rate's up to 6.37 terahash a second, but it was pretty good there for a while at the end of April. The only other ones I can think of is Nexa, which we did the interview for, so definitely go check out the Nexa interview. And it is down 17%. The hash rate is down on Nexa as well, but keep in mind Nexa is going to be a pro ASIC coin, so don't plan on that being your long bet on cryptocurrency mining. Let's get into... Oh, well, hold on. Yeah, let's just get into Q&A. Remember, super chats are never required. Always appreciate first to be answered because they're the easiest to read. Tagging @SonOfATech will highlight the message orange, making it easier for me to read. And I apologize for the technical difficulties today. Major Pal said, @SonOfATech, you need to do an interview with Jason Lowry. That would be an amazing. I would love to, but I think, you know, we're this channel's quite small potatoes, but I can try. Contingent Crypto, thanks for the $1.99 super chat, says your thoughts on spec mining privacy coin Veil. I believe Veil has a price, does it not? And so once again, just to be clear, if the coin has a price, it is not spec mining, okay? That being said, I think it's like on like Trade Ogre and that's about it. But I do not consider that spec mining. Also, been around enough to know enough that your big movers are typically not privacy coins, right? There's some outliers there, but that's not typically something that you see as big movers. Second TL Mining says, @SonOfATech planning to play D4 beta again next weekend? Yes, sir. And I am free as a bird. I got no plans, no on-call, nothing like that. So I'll be grinding out some D4, trying to get that mount. Daniel says, @SonOfATech on call for. Too many people work clicking on Fuzzy Bunny, Cheech, and Chon links. No, I'm on call for work. I'm a Linux systems administrator. Heavy Flavor says, @SonOfATech, would you buy a CMS 170X for 1K if you were offered to? No. I wouldn't. Yeah, and you make a good point. All the new coins are core heavy. I think the RTX 4070 is kind of like my sweet spot personally, but I've already talked about that before. Yeah, but you got to beat that world boss in D4. Bacon, eggs, any thoughts on proof of memes? No. I mean, I'm just not the meme coin guy. I get it. You know, a lot of people are going to try to chase that. You're going to see, I mean, it's tempting, right? You see the big pump in Pepe. You hear the story of the guy that invests a couple $100 and is now a millionaire. And that sounds amazing, but that is like the same story you get from a guy that buys a lottery card, right? Or a lottery ticket. That's the equivalent of it. So I do not... Look, one of the things we're going to do, I tweeted this earlier, and we're going to go build our own just so you guys can see it. work in progress, but I just want you guys to understand this. I think this is going to be an important one. So we're going to go ahead and play this for you guys here real quick. I want you to understand how easy and how stupid people are for buying a product that is this easy to create and rug people with, okay? I just so you understand what this is. This is how easy it is to create a meme token, right? Done. Okay? Okay? So, just understand, like, if it's a token, there's a pretty easy barrier to entry. There are guys that have made millions upon millions of dollars of just creating these tokens and rugging people. The idea that I'm going to go in there and be able to pick the right meme coin is exactly that. It's playing the lottery, okay? That's what it is. That's why I don't do it a lot. I don't talk about it. It's just not a good idea. Matt K says, thoughts on Tangem hardware wallet. I heard you say it's insecure. I haven't found any info on how it would be insecure. I've said that the device that it interacts with is insecure. So you're basically utilizing what is the equivalent of like an NFC tag, right? I don't know. I have a few here. But the wallet only opens up on your phone. Your phone has the most attack vectors because you have the most amount of technology is packed into that, right? Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all of that. 4G, 5G, whatever it may be. And so if you are wanting a hardware wallet, I just don't think utilizing a hardware wallet that has basically a wireless technology built into it, right? That's primary interaction is with your cell phone, right? But you know, I'm not a big fan of hardware wallets as it sits. I'm more of a fan of paper wallets, right? I mean, that's the way I've been since the beginning. So yeah. Daniel says, that's some attack, meaning some links can be malicious even at work. A lot of links are malicious at work. Trillion says, that's some attack. What are your thoughts on ETC? Large investors sold $1 million worth last week. I mean, Ethereum Classic feels dead to me. I don't really have many thoughts on it because I just don't pay attention to it. I mean, it's not dissimilar to like how I look at Ergo, right? BTM says, Asamatech, do you think kaspa could suffer from ASIC miners dumping for a long time? I don't think ASIC miners are incentivized to dump, right? So, in fact, I think ASICs are less likely to dump than FPGA. I think the threat to kaspa from ASICs is the same threat that ASICs poses to any network, right? The most recent example, like Cadena, right? Where you have kind of a twofold problem. You have a threat from the manufacturer, right? Where you have this delayed sales where they mine on it and keep delaying you while they eat up all the profits and then ship you the KA3 when it's only making $10 a day instead of $70 a day. And then on top of that, you also have the fact that ASICs are more hash rate for less money and they cost more money to get. So you end up in a position where you have more hash rate but less participants, right? So it's participants versus hash rate. So it's basically participants versus security. And so you gain security and lose participants, which can be bad for adoption. Okay, I mean that's just the way it works, right? less people are going to, like, if less people are mining, less people are interested. I mean, par for the course, like, because I was just talking about this with tactical investing, but we saw that on Ethereum, right? Go watch an Ethereum core devs call now. Granted, you know, most of the time when I was watching it, it was like bull run, but Ethereum would have thousands of people watching a core dev call. Now there's 10 to 30 people maybe at best, right? But a lot of that was miners, you know, a lot of that drop off was post merge, you know, and I think that you don't, and there's less transactions up until this Pepe thing happened, but less transactions on the network too. And that's just because you're not having the, you know, the pools paying out the miners paying, you know, participating within the network, or the miners moving money around. So your participation levels just go down with ASICs, as well as, of course, proof of stake on that natural progression. So I think that that's kind of like my 2 cents on it all. Now, these kids are getting a little rowdy, so I'm going to go rile them up and check it out. But if you guys want to watch later, I am going to be taking a look at a couple things on locals.com and then also on twitch.com. I'm going to be playing that new game, I think, but I might play offline. I do not know, but I also got to go lay down the ban hammer on these kiddos, I think. I think one of them knocked over a television. I think that's what just happened. So I'll see you guys next Tuesday.